Welcome to the beas webinar series. This is Ana Bracho speaking. Today we are going to talk about the work order reporting. In our agenda, this work order reporting is going to talk about the production's good issues and our several ways to report the production good issues on beas. Also, the several ways to report the production good receipt, and all screen to report the time received. When we are going to report in our work order, when we are going to collect information in our work order, there is three important activities to collect information. One of them is the material transaction, referred to the material consumption. This means the production good issues. The other part is the time recording, which is report the duration of the activity in an operation. And finally, we have also to report the production's good receipt. These three activities on beas could be reported in individual screens, separately screened. So this means I can report the production good issues in one screen, the time received in another screen, or the production good received in another screen. Or also it's possible report all of them together. This is depend on parameters that we have on beas. It is possible that we report the production good issues at the moment to report the time received. That could be in a first operation, last operation, or also in a specific operation. But this means at the moment that we report the time received, we also is going to report the production good issues. That could be automatically, or also we can call on a screen to report manually. Also, in the time received, it's possible that we also report the production good receipt, which is only possible, of course, in the last operation. But it's possible that reporting just one screen to report the time received, it's possible that we are reporting good issues and good receipt. There is another screen, probably because we are expecting to report the time received separately from the material transactions. We can use the backflush screen. The backflush screen is a separately screen to report the production good issues and the production good receipt. So this means probably we have a person who report the time, but we have another person who report the material transactions. So we can use the backflush screen. In this case, we have two separate screens, one for the time received and another screen for the material transaction. Also, it's possible to report all of them separately. So one screen for the production good issues, one screen for the time received, and one separately screen for the production good receipt. In the case of the productions good issues, it's possible this manual report could be in two ways. One like a simple way, just one item, or also with multiple items, multiple lines. In the case of the time received, we have also several screens to report it. The time received, it is the information that we collect from the operator, the person who is working in an operation, and also we collect where this person is working, that is the resource. Actually, the resource have the information about the cost rate of this operation and the duration of the activity. This duration could be provided in minutes or hours. This is our time receipt. As we mentioned, using this screen, we can collect the information, or we can also automatically issue the raw material or also provide the documentation for the production goods receipt in case we are in the last operation. We have several ways to report the time receipt. To report the time receipt on the system depends on the license that we have. Because if we have the basic license, we only have the option to report directly with beas, probably with a person who is responsible to provide this time. And we have several screens to do it. If we do it in this way, we have, for example, directly from the work order, we can go to the operation, right-click, and then report the time receipt directly to the work order. We also have a menu and beas that the name is production time receipt that you can call exactly the same screen of the time receipt related to the work order, but we can provide there the identification of the work order. Of course, it's not comfortable to go every time to the work order because you have to expand the work order. You have to go to the work order, expand the work order, go to the operation. Another faster way to do it is using the production time receipt. We also have a screen to see all time receipt reported. Probably if we need to modify the time receipt, or also if we want to add additional time receipts. In this time administration screen, also is possible to report in just one screen several time receipts. This is for us our quick step time receipt. We have another option on the system, that is when we have the terminal license. In this three screen is because we have the basic license, and probably we have a responsible who collect information during the day, and probably at the end of the day report this time receipt. This means not necessarily we are collecting the information on time. Sometimes we can allow the operators to report the time directly from the shop floor. In this case, we can provide a terminal in the factory, probably at the end each production line, and the operator can provide this time directly. When we do it using the terminal, we have the possibility that each operator see several applications on the terminal. The terminal is not only for time receipt, it's also inside the terminal we have several applications also to report material transactions, to report a material transaction not related to the work order. This means any stock movement not related to the work order, and other activities. But talking about the time receipt, it is possible also to report each operator report directly the activity using these terminal applications. When we report the time receipt through the terminal, it's possible to do it in two ways. One way is in one step. This means that probably at the end of the line, at the end of the processes, at the end of the production line, the person who is working report how many time spent in the activity. This is one way. The disadvantage of this way, we don't know exactly in which activity is working this operator. But we can allow them to collect the information directly from the operator. And the other way, it is report the time received in 2 steps. In this case, if we do it in 2 steps, it is because at the moment to start the activity, at the moment to start a work order, we say login work order. We say the system, I'm working in this operation. And when we finish the activity, we say finish these operations. So log off work order. The advantage to use in this way, it is that we can check from the system who is working in which activity. We can know exactly which operator is working in a specific operation, or also which work order it is at this moment active because someone is working on it. So when we do it in 2 steps, only is possible because we have a terminal license. Only is possible. The production time received in 1 step could be directly from the system, but it also could be from the terminal. In case of 2 steps, it's only possible using the terminal. Today also we are going to check 2 special cases reporting time, that is using our master and slave operations. Sometimes we have scenarios like you have a production line with several operations. All of them are in our routing, like operation 1, operation 2, 3, and so on. But probably at the moment to report time, you are not interested to report all of them. You have the information on the routing because it's important for the customer to provide the detail about each operation, but not for reporting. Or could be we have one person working at the same time in several operations, but the same work order. But at the moment to report, we are not going to report 5 operations in this case, only one of them. And we can report in only one of them, which is named for us, called the master operation. We can distribute, or we can set up the system to allow the rest of the operation assume the time reporting in the operation 5. So at the moment to report, I just only report in one operation, but the rest of the operation, which is a slave of this operation, is going to take the time reporting in the operation 5 or master of operation. We have several options to distribute this cost, this time. The one option is we can report, for example, 1 hour, and we can say same time for all of the operation, all of them. And so at the moment that you report time received 1 hour, the system is going to replicate also this time received to the rest of the operation, or any operation which is a slave of this operation. 1 hour, all of them. This is one option. Another option is that the system distribute our 1 hour in percentage according to the routing definition. So depend on the time that we provide in each operation, the system is going to distribute this time. Probably I report 1 hour, but the system say, so 1 hour here, just one time received, but automatically it's going to create a time receipt for the operation 1, imagine 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 5 minutes. So depend on the minutes that this is a percentage calculated depend on the time that we provide at the operation. This is the way that the system is going to distribute. Another way to distribute, we report here in actual time, but the rest of the time is going to be according to the plan information. This is another way to report. But if you see, the advantage of this kind of situation or this kind of scenario, it is we only report one time and the rest of the operation assume in a specific time. This is special when we have a production line probably continuous and we can do it. We can only report one time. We have other scenario today that is also a special time reporting. That is sometimes we have several items. All of them have different routings, but probably there is one operation that is common. When I say common, probably because use the same machine, use the same resource, and probably we can use this resource at the same time for all of them. Not necessary is going to be one of them first and another work order later, and so on. So probably, imagine this is an industrial oven. Imagine in my product A, I have an operation, my second operation, which is need use this oven. Imagine all of them 1 hour. I need to use this oven per 1 hour for all of them. And instead of use this resource for my product A, and then for the product B, and then for the product C, imagine that I can use this resource at the same time. My 1 hour is going to be for all of them at the same time. We have an option on the beas to add to a resource to start several operations, which is several work orders in a resource, and then at the moment to report when we finish, the system also distribute the time, or we can change it manually for the all item that is inside. This is another option that we are going to see today. So let's see directly in the system all of our cases. Let us start with the material consumption. We say that the productions goods received could be possible and the time received could be possible in a different screen, that is a backflush screen, or also is possible in a manual entries, individual or multiple. So there is a setup on the system. We are going to find the setup at the configuration wizard. As we go to the system initialization, configuration wizard, and production, anything related to the material consumption, it is here at the production material posting. Any parameter related to this material consumption is here. The first parameter, it is the way that we are going to report these material issues. If we say here, we have the option not automatically, work order backflushing booking, last or first operation. Last operation is the default value on beas when we install beas. This is the default value, which means at the moment to report the time received, in the last operation, the system is going to report the production goods issues only for the raw material, which the issue method is backflush. If we use last or first operation, it's also possible to identify directly in the bill of material a specific operation to report this issue. Let's select the last operation, and we can see that at the moment to report the last time received, the system also is going to report the material good issues automatically. I say update here. Let's minimize this because we are going to come back. I have a work order here already created. We have 3 raw materials. 2 of them, it is automatically is backflush. I can see this because you can find that any raw material which the issue method, it is backflush, the system say here an A. In the case of the raw material 4, is not an 8, which means it is manual. When I report the last operation, my time received for the last operation, the system is going to issue automatically my raw material 3 and my raw material 5. The raw material 4 has to be reported in a different screen manually. If I go to the item master data of my raw material 4, you can see issue method depend it is manually or it is backflush. It is considered by the system in case we are using this automatically backflushing. So if I report here my last operation, this is my operation 14. I select a person, this is my time received. I select a duration. If I say here 1 pieces of my produce item, partial or complete, the system is going to issue automatically, but in one screen just to report the time received, the system report automatically my good issues. If you see, the good issues was only for my raw material 3 and my raw material 5 and not 4 because 4 it is manually. If I have to report a raw material manually, one way to do it is directly with the right click, and I have here raw material 4 issue, and this is the manual option to report the good issues. It's manual option, but I say we have 2 manual options. One way it is individual like this or multiple. This is the individual way. I can report directly my material 4, the quantity manually, and then the quantity and enter. When we have first or last operation, it's possible that I can say I can link the raw material to a specific operation. So you can imagine that my operation, my raw material 3 can be reported, for example, in the operation 20. It doesn't matter it is last or it is first operation. When we have this case, when we say is the good issues is related to the time received last or first, if we provide, I'm going to open in the bill of material a routing position, let's say 20, it means that this raw material is going to be issued at the moment to report the operation 20. This only works if we have last or first. If we have other methods, of course, it's not going to be issued and in the time received. So if I report the time received 20, create time received, let's say 4 pieces, partial or complete, you can see that the system automatically issue my raw material 3. This is a SAP good issues document. This is when we have last or first. If we use last, first, or automatically, it's possible that we set up the system, set up the weight that we are going to issue the raw material by type of work order. We have in the header of the work order, we have type of the work order. If we go to the type definition, one option that we have in each production type, it is here automatic material posting. We have here automatically means according to the configuration wizard, according to the general setting. However, it is possible that we say my general setting is last operation, but this type of work order is going to be not automatically, or it's going to be first operation. So it's possible to define the material issue depend on the type of the work order, but this is only works if we don't use backflushing screen. If we use backflushing screen, this option is going to be deactive. We have other option. If we say, let's go again to the configuration wizard, and the other option that we have, it is work order backflushing. If we select work order backflushing, it's not possible the definition by type of the work order. This is a functionality that only works when we decide to use this option. It works for all work orders. If we use work order backflushing, it is because we are pretending to report the time received separately from the material transactions. Probably because we have a person reporting the time from the terminal or at the end of the day, but we have another person reporting the good issues and the good received. When we use the work order backflushing, normally it is because we pretend to report both good issues and the good received together. If I select work order backflushing screen, I'm going to minimize this. It doesn't matter what happened in my work order. I'm going to open my work order. I'm going to work with the work order. Let's say I report here my last operation. Let's say 1 and 1 partial. But as you see, nothing happened with the good issues because at this moment, my time received is separately from the good issues. To report the good issues, it is because I have another part of the menu that is in the production. Here in the factory data capture, we have the screen work order backflushing booking. If we open this screen, the system is expecting that we provide the routing card. The routing card, normally it is a barcode of the work order. We have in the structure of our work order, we have our work order header and position. Each position is an item to produce. Each position has a bill of material. If you go to the position, you are going to find a barcode. Normally the barcode, it is the part of the work order number in position. The six numbers for the work order, 6 position, if you see 001776, this is the number of the work order, and 3 additional numbers for the work order position, the 010. Normally is that if we have more, imagine a position 1000 in the position, or if we have a bigger number in the work order number, the system probably is going to use numbers here. It's going to create a new barcode. But normally the barcode is the combination of the work order number and the work order position. So when I open this backflush screen, the system asks for the routing card. So I can provide my 01776, I think 010, or I can also select from this drop down the specific work order. When I provide this, if you see, the system it's possible that collect the quantity from the time received because we already report a time received for 1 pieces, or not. This can be set up on the system, and the system asks for the total quantity and the yield portion. If we report it in this way, the system at the moment to report partial or complete. This means partial means we are going to continue reporting in this operation, or we say complete, we are going to close the position. We are going to close the operation. We are not going to report anymore in this operation, and the system is going to close this operation. If we say 1, we can say partial, and the system is going to issue at this moment. It's going to report the good issues at this moment. If you see, you can provide a screen for the good issues and another screen for the time received. Not do it together, both separately. When we have a work order backflushing or the time received, it is possible that here in the backflushing, we activate, or what happened in this case for the batches, we activate also consider batches. Because if you remind batches in the case of the batches on SAP, anytime that we have a work order, I'm going to open the work order again. If we have a batch item, I have a batch item in my bill of material. This is a batch item. You know, a batch item, it is the issue method, it is manually, it's not automatically. We can activate on the system as a top to consider if we have a batch item, the system open a screen to provide the batch. If we don't say anything, the system is going to have the same behavior that we have a raw material for. It's not going to ask for the batches, and you have to do it manually. This is the way that the system is going to do it in case you don't activate this option in the configuration wizard. If we activate the option in the configuration wizard, we have to go to the production, material posting, backflushing. And we have here an options for batches. Is exactly the same for the serial number. We also have a parameter for the serial numbers, separate parameter for the serial numbers. These batches or serial numbers parameters only are available if here in the material management we activate batches administrate or serial number administrate. We activate this checkbox. If we don't activate, we cannot see any parameter related to the batches or serial number. To say the system, I want you ask for the batches at the moment to issues, we have to say yes. I think automatically, or the default value on the system is no. That's the reason I mentioned, because if you don't activate it, the system is not going to ask. It's going to have the same behavior that's our raw material for. So I have here activated. At the moment that you report, it doesn't matter if you have backflush or if you have the time received reporting at the time received. I have my work order 1780. Let me use the backflush because we are using at this moment, our setup is according to the backflush. I'm going to select here our raw material. I'm going to say here 1, for example, partial. And because the system detects that we have a batch item, is going to display this screen. And this screen displays not only our item, batch item, also the rest of the item. In the case of our raw material 3, automatically select the quantity. Automatically select the quantity because in this case, because this is a automatically item, it's a backflush item. The system select the quantity automatically. In the case of the raw material 4, it's not automatically because our item is not automatically. We have to select, just selecting here the quantity. That could be with a double click to assume the planned quantity, or could be a specific quantity a manual quantity provided by us. And not necessary I provide the quantity for the raw material 4. Probably I'm going to do it later because I'm going to do it manually in an individual way. In the case of the raw material 6, which is a batch, we can see several batches here. We can see the quantity available for each batch, and then we can select any batch. For example, we can use also double click to select the planned quantity, or we can just provide the specific quantity. When we are ready in our selection, we can use the button issue and go on to continue with the processes, and the system is going to report the quantity at this moment. It's going to report the good issues at this moment. If I go to my work order, this is the work order, you can see that the system report the good issues, and also we can see exactly the batch that was issued for this work order. This setup, it is independent. It is a backflush or a time receipt. Can work for the time receipt or backflush. In this case, I show you using the backflush, but it also could be using the time receipt. I'm going to change again my setup. I'm going to come back, for example, to the time receipt. In the last operation, for example, there is another option on the system that sometimes we have, and this is again, it doesn't matter, it is time receipt or backflush. It is possible that we always want that the system asks for a confirmation of the quantity of each item just to provide a quantity for manual items, or fixed quantity in automatically quantities. There is an option on the system to always that we are going to issue, the system asks for a screen to provide this quantity or confirm this quantity before the issues. If we go here again to the material posting, backflushing, we have here issue quantity changeable. Normally is no. If I say yes, it doesn't matter if we use it doesn't matter if we decide to use if we have a batch item, raw material managed by batch or not, the system always is going to show the previous screen, this screen that we select the batches, but always is going to select the previous screen. If I say here update, let's report it directly in the work order using, I'm going to select this work order that is not issued here. And if you see, I don't have any batch item. All of them, it is raw material that is not managed by batch, but my raw material 4 is still manually. If I report my last operation, this works exactly the same for the last or backflush screen. If I select here, again, my quantity, partial, the system is going to open this screen to confirm the quantity. In this screen, we can fix a quantity. For example, in the raw material 3, I can say, oh, was 1 more. I can just confirm a quantity that was planned, or also provide the quantity of a manual item. For example, this one. Let's say this quantity 2. If you see, the system use some screen. This means that we are issue more than the plan. This is less than the plan, and this is exactly the planned quantity. When we want to continue as the batch definition, we use this button, issue and go on, and continues. The system in my case is displaying this message because according to my setup, I say if I have any difference in the planned quantity, please show me a message. That's the reason the system is showing this message for me. Any parameter or validation in around the backflush, it is in these manual posting parameters. So if you see, I have my issue. When we say on the system no automatically, when we say in our configurations not automatically, it is because it doesn't matter if we have automatically backflushed in the item master data, the system is not going to issue. It doesn't matter, it's not going to work the backflush screen, or it's not going to work the time receipt. At the moment of the time receipt, it's just for the time, and actually we cannot open the backflush screen when this option is not activated. So only is possible to open the backflushing screen when this option is activated. Otherwise, the system doesn't allow to open this. It's going to display a message. It's not possible to open because we are not using. When we say not automatically, it's because we have two ways to report the good issues, all of them manually. One way is simple way, or another way it is multiple way. The simple way it is because I go to the raw material and right click, and then I have my raw material 3 issue. This is my simple way. The system only is asking to issue this raw material. This is useful for when we have the raw material related to a specific department. So imagine each operation depends on a department, and each department has to report their own raw material individual. So this is one way to do it. And the other way to do it, it is multiple. If I go to the operations positions of the work order positions, right click, I have here material issue, or I can also select multiple work order for that. Material issue, and the system is going to open a screen for all raw material of my selections. I'm going to do it only for one screen. Let's select a screen that was not issues, a work order. Let me copy my work order because I already use all of them. I have my work order. If I pretend to report this material, the material issue, I right click over my work order if I have several positions, or over my positions, right click and material issue. It's probably that you cannot see this option on the system. This is because we need to activate the option on the system. To do it, we have to right click, go to this icon and find the window setting. This window setting is special because it's all parameter related to the work order. And in the view part, bill of material, we find if we are going to activate multiple posting, so this means a material issue for several lines or single posting. just for one item. So the system is going to display the menu or not if we activate this option. In my case, I activate for both. That's the reason I have the option to do it individual or multiple. If I right click here, material issue, the system is going to display my all work orders, all raw material for these work orders. And this is the quantity that is required. This is the total quantity. When I call this screen in this way, is the total quantity of the work order. If this screen is called with our automatically quantity by backflush screen or the time received, is going to be according to the quantity that we are reporting. One is this quantity for one produced item. But in this case, it's for the total quantity of the work order. We can use the pre-assign or select pre-assign if I select several lines, and the system is going automatically select the planned quantity. Only in the reason why was my raw material 4 was ignored was because the raw material 4 is manual selection and the issue method is manual. If the issue method is manual, the system always is expecting that we provide a manual quantity, or double click to assume the plan or provide a manual. But the user has to provide a manual option, has to select for this item, because this is the definition on the issue method on the master data. If I use here, let me remove this, all pre-assigned, the system is going to do the same as select pre-assigned, but for all lines. Of course, again, our raw material 4 was not provided because it's manual. The system is expecting that we say something manual and not automatically. When we are ready, we can say all issue. But if you see the system report, in this case, report the time received in one screen and the good issues in another screen. It's not together. This is our all options for the good issues. Our time at the report the good issues at the moment of the time received, report the good issues manually, report the good issues with the backflush, depending on the scenario requested by our customer. Let's see what happened with our production goods received. Anything related to the production good received is here in the evaluation and booking of assembly. And the parameter to set up when we are going to report the productions good received is here in booking. The first parameter is the way that we are going to report the productions good received. And the production good received, we have several options. One option is like material, last operation, or backflush. Actually, this means, depend on the parameter that we have in the material, it is last or first, the production goods received is going to be in the last operation. It is, if I say here, backflush, this is the default parameter of beas, this parameter related to the production good received. Means if we decide to use backflush for the material, we are going to use backflush for the production good received. If we decide last or first, we are going to do the production good received at the last. This is the meaning of this option. Other options on the system is not automatically, which means we are going to report it manually. And the other option is only in the backflush. So this means it doesn't matter what happened with the raw material, it's going to be in the backflush. And another option is always after last operations. This means it doesn't matter if we decide to use raw material manually, the production goods issues manually, or automatically in the first operation, or automatically with the backflush. The production good received always is going to be in our last operation. This is the options for the production receipt. Actually, because I have the option to do it like at the raw material, if you see my work orders, at the moment that I report the production good receipt, the system automatically also report the production good issues. The system automatically report the production good receipt, as you see here. That was because my setup was according to the raw material. If I change depending on the rest, it is because the system is going to do it at that moment. The way to do it manually, which is the way that is different, that you don't know how it is, you can go directly to the work orders with the right click, and you can see here the name of the item code of your item and receipt. FG02 receipt, and the system open this screen. We are going to say the quantity that we are going to receive, and this is the way to report the receipt for this this is the option to do it manually. If we pretend to close the position or close, we are not pretend to report more on this work order, we can say the quantity and say close, which means for the system, I'm not going to receive more. And the system, if we have activated that at the moment to close, automatically close the position, we are not going to report more good issues and more time received in this work order. If I say here enter, the system automatically is going to close my position because I say I'm not going to receive more in this work order. This is the way to report the production's good receipt. In the other part, it is the several ways to report the time receipt. In the case of the time receipt, we can do it directly in our operation. I have to select the one that is open. I can right click in my operation and then report create time receipt. This is one way. I can select the person, duration, and my quantity. But of course, this is not comfortable if you are a person who has to report a lot of work order, a lot of operation, because you have to go to the work order, expand the position, find the operation, and then report. We have to also remind that at the moment that we create a work order, each operation have an ID, this ID 10, 20, 30, and 40, but internally, if I have to provide a reference of this operation, I have to say the work order number, the work order position, and the operation ID. However, internally, we have in the system, if I go here to the extended, internally, I have a unique number that is the barcode that allow me to identify just with one ID this operation. I can use this number to report directly this operation in another screen or from the terminal. But this is the way to identify my operation, this specific operation. So we have the one way to do it directly from the work order, and the other way that we have is still we have a responsible who is collecting the information from the shop floor, and then it is reporting the time received. If we go to the production, we have to the factory data capture, and we have here production time received. If I open production time received, it's exactly the same screen, time received screen, but in this case, the system, I can provide the information of the work order position. I can say here which work order. I can select the position. If I have, the system automatically select the position because I only have one, but if I have several positions, I have to select the position and then the operation. This is one way. And the other way, it is because I provide the barcode. If I say the system, the barcode number, that for example, I'm writing this barcode, but also imagine if you have a scanner, you can scan the barcode. So if I say This automatically the system detects which work order, which position, and which operation, and we can report the time received in this way. Another way to report the time received, it's another screen to see all time received that we report during the day or other days. It is the production time administration screen. In this screen, the person who is responsible to check if the time received was reporting right, or the time received need modification. So we can see the all time received reported today. We can move to another day if we want, but this is the automatically the system open the current day. We can open each document. If we want to modify, we have to be careful if we decide to modify, especially if we have journal entry. Where in the case of the journal entry, there is no problem. The system is going to cancel the journal entry and then create a new one in case we, for example, modify the time duration. In the case of in this screen, we can say, for example, new, and the system is going to open our time received screen. So we can provide the barcode or just select the document and then provide. In case that we have a time received that also is related to a backflush, this means good issues, is our document, if our time received is modified, the quantity of our time received is modified, the system is not going to issue again, or is not going to fix automatically. We have to do it manually. We have to revert, we have to return our raw material and then issue again. So we have to see how to do it, but we have to do it manually, and the system is not going. Imagine that I say this is an operation that issue raw material and say not 2010. It is because I have to fix manually the quantity of my raw material on the system. And the other option that we have on this screen is our quick input. This quick input is a screen to report several times. This is because I decide to add several lines at the same time. I can select barcodes, or I can select, could be for the same person, or I can modify the person, and I can select providing the barcode or providing the work order, number, position, and operation. When I select several lines, for each line, I'm going to provide the quantity that automatically was provided by the system because I set up. I can provide the duration. This is a list view screen. For us means that you can set up this screen. I mean the columns that you displayed or not depend in the Windows setting. So if you go to the right click Windows setting, you can select I only going to display the duration in minutes or hour, only the quantity, and that's it, no more. And who is the person, and the part that is important for me, that is the operation or the barcode. So you select which column is going to be available, not necessarily all of them. So this is the time received per line. Exactly the same information that it is in the time received is here. When, the resource, the who is working, the duration, and other information that is in the time received is here per line. You add several lines, and when you are ready with several lines, I'm only going to add 2, but you can add here, I don't know, 100 if you want. And when you finish, you say here confirm partially to report partially if you want. If a specific is closed, it's because this is going to be closed, but all of them automatically is going to be partially. At least you say close, or if you say confirm completion, all of them is going to be complete. It doesn't matter if you don't say close. When you say confirm partially, I forget to provide the minutes, and according to my system, it's not possible to report my time received without minutes. Confirm partially, and the system is going to open each option. In the case of my first line, finish and say OK. And in the case of the second life, my second life is related, in this case, to good issues. That's the reason the system opened this screen, because I have in my setup to open this screen in case we are going to issue. I can provide, for example, manually the quantity of my raw material for an issue and go continuous with the processes. And the system is going to do this for each line. So anytime that we finish a line, the system change the colors, and this part, this checkbox that is the book, is going to be marked by the system. So this is when we have this, we have a responsible who is going to report the time. But it's possible that we use the terminal to report the time. If we use the terminal, it's because we have another license. It's because we are going to allow that others, the operators, report the time directly. We have to create the operators on beas. We have to set up the personnel on beas and set up the authorizations, because each view is going to be according to who is the operator. Actually, also the language of the terminal is going to be according to the operator. I'm going to open my beas terminal. This is one operator. You see, this operator have access to this application, several applications. I have another operator. This is another operator. You see, this operator only can see just less application. So depending on authorization, we can set up the terminal to see more or less applications available. One of the application on the terminal is the production time received. So the operator can report the time received in one step, but as you see, that is not possible to select who is the person. Automatically, the person is the person who is connected. Is the operator who is connected. But the operator can report exactly the same information that we have from beas, the standard license, from the terminal. And just to mention, we can report the manual issues, the production good received, the individual good issues, and the backflush screen from the terminal. So the complete reporting of the work order is available from the terminal. The other way to report in the terminal is because we have into a step. We say login work order, which means we are going to start an activity. At this moment, the system starts a clock. So this operator only have this, let's see, it has to, let's open before it continues, create other work orders, because I have other examples that I don't want to use for this. I'm going to copy. I'm going to come back to the terminal. This is also the login work order or the logoff. I don't want to use this work order. Wait a second, I'm going to open, this is another option to log in the work order and log off. This is the login. I have to select a barcode. I already log in our work order. Let's see a barcode in my work orders to log in another, not necessarily just one. For example, here, I'm going to open this operation using the barcode. My barcode, I'm going to copy my barcode. I'm going to come back to the the terminal. Login work order for this operator, use the barcode, and also start this login. So login means that we can see in the work order who is working, because means we start an activity. Actually, I'm going to refresh this screen, because when someone is working in a work order, we can see this icon, which means we have someone is working. When we expand the work order, probably in the specific, this case, this person start the clock, start to work at this time. Actually, we have in the factory data capture and production time administration, we have the active work order times, which means who is working at this moment in an activity. When we finish, when the user finish, we go again to the terminal. The user go again to the terminal. Select log off. I'm just going to, sorry, because I'm not going to display this user. I'm going to use another user. Log off of the work order and select here which activity you have. If you select this activity, this is exactly the time received. But the time received with less information. Actually, the system allowed me to modify the duration if I want. This is a setup on beas. If you allow that the operator modify the duration, or the duration is exactly calculated when you start. The system doesn't ask which day is today, because this is the moment that you report when you log in, and when exactly the time when you start, it is in the login. As for the quantity, and if you have the good issues related to the time received, the system is also start the backflush screen, or is going to issue. This is your setup. Depend if you decide that your setup is good issues according to the last operation or first operation, the system is going to report also the good issues. So we have, using the terminal, we have the option to report the time received, and allow that the operator report directly the time received using our login work order to start and log off work order to finish, or in one step using the time received, which is, let's use the another item with production time received, which is in one step. We allow to do it in this way. I'm going to, for my next example, just to have time to take time, I'm going to open my work orders. Let me open my work orders. For my next example, I have several work orders, as here. Actually, it is several items. I'm going to use only this one. Several items. My FG01, I might pick us two several items. If you see, in this work order, I'm able to start the work order. Let's see. Let me see the barcode. I'm going to provide the barcode directly. This is going to be, I need to send this item to my resource CT02 and also this item to the resource CT02, both to this resource. I can say the system, I'm going to report all of them together for this resource because probably I'm going to do it, I'm going to set up, I'm going to use the resource at the same time with these two work orders. Let me take also this barcode just to report faster. Sorry, 401. If I'm going to start the clock for both. I'm going to start here my login work order, and I say I'm going to take the barcode 3. This is one operation. I place the run number. This is one operation in my resource 2, login, and I'm going to log in another work operation 3. Also in my resource 2, login. So I start the clock for both. If I need to set up something in the resource, to the moment to log off, I'm going to assume the same time to start and the same time to finish for both in one screen. To do that in the setup of the resources, because if not, the system is going to take each time received separately. In the resources setup, this is a setup that is, the resource is not a general setup, it's by machine. If I go to my resource 2, if I allow work order grouping, automatically the system also allow this parameter that is same date for start and finish. If I activate this option, mean for the system, when I'm going to report the time received, it doesn't matter also if I start this work order in different times, the system is going to take the first time reported, like at the start time for the complete work order that was reported at the same time for this work order, and is going to finish all of them also at the same time. It is important when we have this option, the way to see on the system, the way to report on the system, the log off of this time received is going to be different than the other options. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to say log off work orders. And if you see, I have using 2 machines at this moment. I have opened the machine 2 and 4 for this operator. That's the reason the system display me which resource are you going to select. If I select my resource 2, the system is going to open this screen. This is a different screen with the all work orders that I have opened for this item. Not only one work order, all of them. And it's going to select that the time is going to start when the first time that I report my first operation, and it's going to finish at this time. All of them is going to assume the same start time, the same finish time. When I report here the duration, and I report here the quantity for each work order, probably I have 10 work order here, and I'm going to close only 5 of them. It's possible that we only select a part of them, not necessarily all of them, okay? But if I select a quantity here, the system is going to distribute the time, this time according to the quantity. The quantity is not divide 1 and 1 into. It's depending on the time that we have on the system, the time that each work order have in the definition of the routing. And the system have a logic to distribute this time. At this moment, of course, I don't have too many minutes here to distribute a lot of minutes. In the calculation of the system was 1 and 1, but it's possible that here is 15 and the system say here 10 minutes for this and 5 minutes for then. Depend on the time that is inside of our routing. This is one way when we say partial or confirm, but at this moment I report automatically 2 time receipt in one screen, 2 time receipt or more. Just I only have 2 work orders, but imagine if I have 5 or 10 work orders, it's because I'm going to report several time receipt just with this screen. Of course, because my resource 2, in this case, the resource 2 have several work orders at the same time in this resource. This is our special cases and the time reporting. But we have another special cases, and this is going to be our last special case. It is the moment when we have our master and slave operations that sometime we have here. Wait a second, I'm going to select this one. Sometime we have the case when we have this work order, which in my case have 3 operations, but I'm not interested to report the time received in my 3 operations, just one of them, and I want that the rest of operation assume the time according to my operation, for example 30. So I can decide which operation is a slave or which is the master. In the routing information and the extended part, we can say here, this is the work order, but of course we have to do it in the master data. We can say here which is the master operation. If I say here 30, so any time that I report my time received in my operation 30, automatically my operation 10 is going to assume this time. The way that the system assumes this time, I mean, if I report 1 hour and the time is going to be 1 hour, or the time is going to be a percentage of my planned quantity, is going to depend on a parameter on the system. In the configuration wizard, and this anything related to the time received, any parameter related to the time received is here in the FDC, factory data capture. Here in the FDC, we have the time distribution master slave. If I say non-distribution, which is going to be my first example, means if I report 1 hour, the system is going to report also 1 hour for my first operation, 1 hour for the second one, because also the second one is related to the 30. So anytime that we have an operation that is a slave, we are going to see the master with this pink color defined or as reference next to the ID of our operation. So if I report here, create my time receipt, and I report 1 hour, let's say 30 minutes, you are going to see partial receipt that the system automatically report the time. Well, also I have to report my material good issue, but this is because this is my last operation. So if you see, the system report my time receipt for 30 minutes, but then also report my time receipt for my second operation and my first operation, all of them for 30 minutes, because I say non-distribution, which means exactly the same time receipt, of course, with the same operator for all of them, was automatically. But also I can say distribute as percentage or do it by planned quantity. If I say here by percentage, the system, if I report 1 hour, or the system is going to distribute depend on the percentage of the time that we provide in each operation. I have another. If I report here again, let's say 60 minutes. Let's say 1 partial receipt. The system is going to distribute these 60 minutes in the rest of the operation related to the operation 30. So as you see, here was 30, but here was 20, but here was 10, because the system calculates a percentage for according to our plan time, but distribute this time. This is the way that the system can work with this kind of master-slave and master operations.